Overall, very strong move on the broader market space. Mayuresh Joshi is now with us. Mayuresh, just a word on large cap movers like Asian Paints. Good set of numbers, but now it's looking very expensive, or markets has priced to perfection in just one day.
So afternoon, Pankaj. Yes, I think operationally the numbers were quite good in terms of performance, both in terms of how the EBITDA panned out for Asian Paints. The volume growth was again as per expectations, but largely I think it's going to be a story over the next 2 years for the paints industry as a whole. With rains expected to be above average, the pay commission recommendations coming through, the repainting demand in tier 3, tier 4 cities, rural areas should hold up and actually should start catching up. Couple that up with the urban demand probably remaining strong and robust over the next 8 quarters. I think that gives a backdrop for decent volume growth going ahead. And though I think the price cuts have got initiated, my own sense is that as demand picks up gradually over the next few quarters, I think you will see some amount of action happening on the realization front as well. The only concern probably might be valuations for a little
Mayuresh, just stay with us. Bharti Airtel management is talking in. Let's listen in what they have to say about the numbers.
Service areas, except Tamil Nadu. This is a welcome move as contiguity in allocated spectrum will improve spectral efficiency, thereby improving network quality and broadband speeds. This would also significantly increase the amount of contiguous spectrum put up for sale in the upcoming auctions. The company has adopted INDAS, Indian Accounting Standards, effective April 1st, 2016, for the preparation and presentation of financial statements. While there aren't any meaningful variations from IFRS, we have provided a bridge between the two standards to aid in the assimilation of our results and eliminate any conceptual gaps. Previous year period figures have been restated to facilitate like-for-like comparisons. Now let me turn to the key company developments. We are pleased to share that Airtel has been again recognized for demonstrating industry-leading standards of transparency and ethical governance. Airtel has been ranked first in a listing of 100 emerging market multinational companies as part of a study on corporate transparency and reporting by Transparency International. Airtel has also been ranked number 1 in FTI Consulting's India Disclosure Index for mandatory and voluntary disclosure practices for the second year in a row. Airtel successfully concluded the acquisition of the rights to use 2 into 5 MHz spectrum in the 1800 MHz band allotted to Videocon Telecom in 6 circles: Bihar, Gujarat, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, UP East and UP West. Subsequent to the quarter close, we have also acquired Airtel's 2300 MHz spectrum across 6 circles. Along with the recent launches of Platinum 3G in key cities, our pan-India 4G capabilities will continue to reinforce our leadership position in key geographies and enable us to effectively participate in and shape India's phenomenal data growth. Airtel has proudly announced a new initiative under Project LEAP, Open Networks.
Mayuresh Joshi is still with us. Mayuresh, you heard the management of Bharti Airtel. What do you make of Bharti numbers? First time after many quarters, at least there is no reason to see a downgrade.
So again, yes, I think the margins have held up pretty well for Bharti, and even on the consolidated data revenues, they've come at around 4,640 odd crores, which is up 34%. The Indian data traffic has increased substantially. And again, even the mobile data traffic growth is around 35%. Again, I think the only point of concern that probably sticks around with Bharti is the kind of capital expenditure that they have incurred. To be precise, 4,600 odd crores for this quarter itself, and the kind of interest-related payments that have gone out. So around 16, 20, 30 odd crores have got paid out compared to 1125 on a YOY basis. So the spectrum-related debt payments are going to cause some amount of issues in terms of how the cash flow situation is going to pan out for Bharti. And again, I think the fresh round of auctions that are expected to take place over the next few weeks or months, that can have an additional leverage on the balance sheet of Bharti. So my own perception is that yes, numbers have been quite good this time round, but again, I think the sustenance in terms of cash flows, a little bit of a question mark there, considering the kind of debt levels and interest payments along with the capex that Bharti is incurring at this point of time.
Right. How would you look at Dr. Reddy's and the reaction over there?
No, numbers worse than what one really expected, and a lot of analysts probably had pegged in better EBITDA margins, a reasonable amount of top-line growth. And again, I think the basic culprits were the US markets. Again, no approvals coming through. But the management remains hopeful probably in the second half. And again, I think the remediation issues is something that is plaguing the pharma industry as a whole. So it's largely to be understood that FY17 or a large part of FY17 is going to go towards remediation, and those remediation costs are going to have some amount of downticks on the EBITDA margins for companies facing these issues. However, I think if you really got a longer time horizon, I think selectively pharma companies can be looked at. But again, I think it will largely point out to the second quarter, and one really needs to see stability in numbers coming back. Again, I think the approval pipeline for a whole host of pharma companies is quite strong, specifically in the generic side of business and even on the formulation side. So again, I think the ANDA pipeline is strong, but I think one really needs to substantiate this pipeline with approvals coming through, and remediation issues is going to probably take probably the kind of sheen of EBITDA margins out of FY17 numbers.
Right. Mayuresh, surprisingly, Maruti is up 8% after the results. It was around 4,400 crores, 4,400 per share, which has become close to about 4,800. I mean, any sort of view on Maruti? And results came during market hours. Management, spoke during market hours. Yesterday was up 3%. Today is up about 4% odd. Any reason that you can see for this sort of a movement?
I mean, I don't see any. I can't fathom any reason why the stock is moving in the way it is. But largely, again, I think the product mix for Maruti has been quite reasonable, and one really expects the discounting factor probably on its lower range of models to start easing off. Couple that up with the kind of new launches that have come through, whether it is the Brezza, whether it's the Baleno. I think you're probably looking at good numbers expected to come through. And again, the localization efforts probably are in the right direction. So yes, I think if you just try and ignore the kind of yen movement that you probably witnessed this quarter around, and probably expect much more stability to come on the forex front over the next few quarters, one might really see a good product mix probably aiding margins going ahead. So largely, I think numbers were quite good in the sense of how the operating performance has been. But again, I think within the auto space itself, I think one must have a bottom-up approach and see value where valuations are a little bit more reasonable at this point of time.
Right. Mayuresh, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Hope you have a great day. Let's focus on the result bit. Supreme Industries declared its numbers earlier. The management